Hi everybody, it is Dr. Cook, it is Dr. Beth Cook. I'm gonna make sure, sorry, that I'm on the right place. Too many Facebook pages to keep up with. Well, if you are hopping on, this is my first live video that I'm doing on my new page, Health, Hormones, and Happiness. And today I'm going to talk about PMDD. So do me a favor, if you're watching, I want you to comment, ask questions. I want you to share the video. I want you to like the video. If you share it, you never know who is going to see it and hear something that may be important for them. So even if you don't really, nobody off the top of your head comes to mind, share it anyway. You never ever know who's going to see it. So I had someone request that we talk about PMDD and PMS. So hopefully they will see this. If they don't, I will make sure I will tag you in this video so that you can watch it later. So what is PMDD? If you've never heard of PMDD, it stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So it's essentially a very severe form of PMS. So unless you've been living in a cave, you know what PMS is. It's that, period of time before our cycle, before day one of our cycle. So whether that's a couple days or a whole week before our cycle, you may feel irritable or bloated or tired or just not right. You feel like you're on edge. They call it's premenstrual syndrome. So syndrome indicates that that's not normal, right? To feel that. You shouldn't really feel it. Now, we're going to learn today that we have hormones that fluctuate constantly. So we're never going to feel the same all the time, but to have such a severe change in how we're feeling like you do in PMDD or PMS is not normal. So PMDD, you're feeling even more severe symptoms like depression, anxiety, you're feeling feelings of hopelessness or anger, or you are not yourself, and it's called PMDD because it's related to your cycle. So there may be periods of time throughout the month, maybe right before your cycle, that you're feeling these feelings that you don't necessarily feel the rest of the month. So that those first couple days before day one, so day one of your cycle is the first day you start your period. So before that, you may be feeling some of these things, and if that's the case, then it's more related to your cycle than just your run-of-the-mill depression, okay? So first know that this is something serious. This is not something to brush off. This is something that you definitely want to go see a doctor about, especially if it's affecting your work life, it's affecting your home life, if you're at home with your kids, if you are in a relationship and it's affecting your relationship, then you need to seek out something. And today, hopefully, we'll give you some tips and tools so that if you watch this, you can kind of know where to go first if you have these symptoms. So we are going to start at the basics. We're going to learn about our cycle, and I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to show it up to you on the screen like this on a piece of paper because I am not very high-tech. Maybe I'll get there. But there's reasons why we feel fluctuation during the month, and that's because our hormones fluctuate. There's two primary things that we look at when we look at our cycle. So the average cycle is 28-32 days. So for simplification purposes, we'll break that down into 4 weeks. Okay, so the first week of your cycle, day one of your period through day 7, your estrogens dominate. Not estrogen, but estrogens. Estrogens are a group of hormones that are very chemically similar. If you've ever had any kind of hormone testing done by your doctor, they're probably just testing one of them, estradiol, because that's the primary one, or E2. So that hormone is going to dominate during that phase of your cycle. This is a delicate phase of your cycle. This is where we're starting to build hormones. So that's this part of our cycle right here. Sorry, it's backwards for me. So that is where that is where your hormones are starting to build. They're starting to go up, okay? So in that first phase, we need to be delicate to our bodies. We don't need to stress our bodies out by stressing out at home, at work, physically stressing ourselves out by doing super intense workouts, doing any kind of chemical stress. So that first phase of your cycle is really, really important because we are building hormones. So we don't want to disrupt that process. The second phase, the second week of your cycle is that estrogen is continuing to build until it peaks, and then it's going to go down, and so that you can ovulate. So that second part of your cycle, or that second week of your cycle, is also dominated by our estrogen. So we may feel more of a sex drive during this. We feel like we have more energy. We can take on the world, kind of thing. You can handle your stress a lot better during this part of your cycle. And then if you go into week 3, your hormones switch. So you're not estrogen dominant anymore. Your progesterone starts to go up. So as your progesterone starts to go up, then the way our bodies work change a little bit. So estrogen is a very protective hormone. And it is very in tandem with other hormones in our body, and one of them that it works really closely with is serotonin. Serotonin is your happy hormone. It makes you feel good. It gives us those feelings of well-being and security and happiness. Serotonin is a really important hormone, and actually serotonin does lots of stuff that I did not even realize before today. Just doing research for this, but serotonin is a really important hormone, and serotonin is what they research and know about when we're talking about depression. If you've been ever diagnosed with depression, they're looking at maybe having low levels of serotonin, and the reason why they give you the medication that they give you, like an antidepressant, is because it's supposed to lower how much serotonin you're reuptaking, so that your chemicals can balance, right? Well, 1% of your serotonin is made in your brain. 1%, that's it. 99% of your serotonin is made elsewhere. It's made in your plasma, it's made in your gut, it's made in your immune system. It's made everywhere else except for your brain. So if you have something like PMDD that's related to hormones and it's related to your cycle, looking at levels of your hormones, because estrogen works very in tandem with serotonin, they're mediated. So if your estrogens go up, your serotonin levels will also go up. That's why that second week of your cycle right here, you feel really good. You have a lot of energy. You can take on the world, So if we look at that second phase of your cycle, progesterone is going to dominate, right? Progesterone is a very calming hormone, and it keeps your estrogens in check. So if we look at progesterone, progesterone is what dominates if you're pregnant. If you are trying to conceive, you need to make sure that you have good progesterone levels. But really, when we're talking about everybody else who's not pregnant or trying to get pregnant, their progesterone is helping to balance out their estrogens. And progesterone is very sensitive to stress. So we get stressed a couple ways: physically, chemically, and emotionally. So if you have a lot of emotional stress or physical stress, your progesterone is depleted a lot. And that progesterone cannot keep your estrogen in balance. And so that throws your estrogens off. If your estrogens get thrown off, then that means your serotonin levels are going to be affected as well. So if you have something like PMDD, and the person that asked me about it, she had some confusion because of what her doctor was telling her, that it doesn't matter. Your hormones don't really matter. It has nothing to do with it. Well, that's not true at all. It has everything to do with it. And so the first place you got to start is you got to get tested. So you have to test your hormones. If you don't know where your hormone levels are at, you need to get them tested. There's a couple ways you can test hormones. blood, urine, saliva. Urine is the most comprehensive way because we can test all your estrogens and all their metabolites, the progesterone metabolites, the cortisone metabolites, your androgenic hormones. We test a lot of stuff, and I can do a live video about that too. Blood is another way. There are some hormones that we cannot test in your urine. Same thing in the blood. There's some things in the blood that we can test, or that can't be tested, that can be tested in urine. So first thing you got to do is you got to get tested. A lot of patients that come to me say, oh yeah, they tested my hormones and they tested estradiol and progesterone. That's it. That's all they tested. There are a ton of other hormones, and these hormones don't work independently. They fluctuate and they work together. So if you're, like I said, if your progesterone is really low because you're super stressed, that affects how your estrogen works. That affects how your serotonin works. It's all linked together. And cortisol is another hormone that really affects our levels of serotonin. If our cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone, gets too high or too low, then that affects how much serotonin that we can make and use. So that's another thing to keep in mind, another hormone that we can test. And that could give us a big clue on what's going on, why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So the last thing is that, you know, we're not like men, right? Our men's testosterone level stays pretty, you know, it can maybe fluctuate a little bit throughout the day, but they're pretty steady, right? Women are not. We are different every single week. So as this goes through, you can't really see this, but week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, you see all that fluctuation. It's different every single week. So every week you may feel a little different, and that's okay. That's totally normal. If you're taking something like birth control, that's an endocrine disruptor, and basically what that does is it flatlines your hormones. So some people get on birth control and go crazy because they're like, I don't like the way I feel on this. And that's why some women don't respond well to birth control, because of all the symptoms that it causes. But that's the second thing that you need to do. So first thing you need to do is get tested. Second thing you need to do is get to know your cycle, get to know your body, chart your cycle, chart and see how you feel week to week, what your symptoms are, what your mood is like, what your appetite is like. Get to know your cycle. And if you are on something like birth control, maybe get off of it for a little while so that you can figure out what your cycle is like. Hi Tori. Good to see you. Thank you. I hope that I'm teaching somebody something. So get to know your cycle. Like I said, if you are on birth control, if you're able to get off, it can't hurt to get off for a little bit. A lot of women do it. Birth control is a whole nother topic that we can talk about at another talk, but just get to know your body and see what your body is like. The third thing that you need to do is start eating chocolate. So I just posted earlier today that raw cacao is an amazing superfood, and it has really high levels of serotonin. So if you ever have wondered why, when you get stressed or there's certain times of the month that, oh my gosh, you just want some chocolate so bad, it's because chocolate is really high in serotonin. It also raises our level of oxytocin, which is our love hormone. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when somebody gives you a hug. It's get released during when you're having sex with your significant other. So oxytocin is another really important hormone. So start eating raw cacao, not Hershey's Kisses, not the junk that has all the sugar and all the chemicals and it's highly processed and it's destroyed by high heat. Good raw chocolate you could get at any grocery store. I like to eat. I've kind of tricked my kids that dark chocolate is a treat. I'm trying to train their taste buds now, that bitter taste that chocolate has is good. So even doing a dark chocolate bar that has, really high levels of raw cacao, make sure it's got good stuff in it, that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it. Or you can do raw cacao like in a shake. I put it in my shake in the morning. You can bake with them. You can go get raw cacao nibs and you can bake with them and incorporate them into some protein bars or little granola bars that you can make. Or you can get cacao butter. Cacao butter, you can put it right on your skin. You don't have to worry about eating it if you don't like the way it tastes. Some people don't. I don't know what's wrong with you. I love chocolate, but if you don't like the way it tastes, then do that. So the first thing, if you have any of these crazy, not normal things going on that some women are experiencing with PMDD, the first thing you got to do is get tested. So if you don't know how to do that, contact me and I will help you with that process. You got to test your hormones. Blood is probably, to me, the easiest way, but it's a snapshot in time. Urine is the most comprehensive way because it's getting multiple we're testing you multiple times throughout the day. So we're getting a more comprehensive look at what your total hormone looks like. We're also testing your metabolites, which you cannot test in blood. Metabolites is a good way to see how you're using the hormone, not just how much you have, but what you're using. And then saliva you can also test too. Saliva is also a good way to do it. So contact me if you are having any of these things going on and you don't know how to get tested, or you've talked to your doctor about testing but they won't do it. Or go back and look at your labs if you think you've gotten tested and look and see what they test, because I bet they just have an estradiol and a progesterone on there and that's it. All these hormones work in tandem. There's a balance between all of them, and our bodies can be very delicate. We can adapt really well, but chronically, if we have a lot of stress and if we have a lot of stuff being thrown at us and we're constantly putting crap in our bodies or working out super hard every single day, if you're doing things chronically, then those hormones will be affected severely and you will start to get very sick. So get tested, learn your cycle. So start learning about your cycle, making notes. There's lots of apps that you can use. I think I use Grow or something like that. I don't know. I'm pregnant right now, so I'm not really tracking my cycle. So track your cycle, learn about your body, and then also start eating chocolate or start eating foods that are high in serotonin, or foods that are really high in good fatty acids like hemp hearts and chia seeds, flax seeds, coconut oil, cacao, maca is a really great one too for hormones. So start incorporating those foods into your diet. So if you have any questions, please ask questions. Hello. And then, like I said, share this video. You never know who is going to see it and is going to be impacted and learn something from it, and know somebody that might be struggling with PMDD and maybe need to get tested. So this is not something that you want to take lightly. It's something serious. I have somebody who spoke to me about it recently, and hers has become very serious, so she wanted to do something about it in the interim while she was figuring out what to do. So yeah, I hope y'all learned something. If you have any hormone related questions or topics that you want me to talk about, please leave me a message and I will be sure and cover them. I learn as much from you because I have to make sure I know what I'm talking about, and even though I do, I want to be able to back it up with things like this that I can show you, and just little tidbits here and there that I learn as I deal with patients. So I hope y'all have an amazing Monday, and I will see y'all later.